Before language, before art, rituals, or any mark of civilization, one human species left footprints across 3 continents. No monuments, no stone structures, no written records. Yet they were present in Africa, Asia, and Southeast Asia, long before anyone else. Their name, Homo erectus, upright human, one of the earliest human species with a body shape similar to ours. Tall, lean, endurance runners, tool users, forward-facing eyes. Homo erectus wasn't the smartest, nor the most creative, but they endured for nearly 2 million years, longer than the combined existence of Homo sapiens, Neanderthals, Homo habilis, Denisovans, and all other human species. They crossed thousands of kilometers of savanna, climbed mountains, fording rivers, tracking herds, and ultimately, they left Africa, something no human species had ever done before. No maps, no written language, no real boats. Yet they crossed deep-sea passages like Makassar and Lombok, water too deep to wade across, even during glacial low sea levels. Why? Not curiosity, not exploration, but survival. While other human species vanished, unable to adapt to climate change, deforestation, starvation, or competition, Homo erectus chose the simplest path: movement, not resisting change, not trying to control it, simply following it and surviving. We often tell human history as if it began with cave paintings or Nile Valley civilizations. But going all the way back, it was Homo erectus that laid the silent foundation for our entire evolutionary journey. They didn't tell stories, but they paved the way for all stories. Part 2. Origins in a Changing World. Around 2 million years ago, Africa experienced profound climatic shifts. Ancient rainforests, once widespread, began shrinking, savannas expanded, shrubby landscapes replaced tall canopy forests. Forest ecosystems fragmented, rainfall seasons became irregular, water sources dried up unpredictably, herbivores migrated farther, and predator-prey dynamics shifted. Habitats disappeared. Old survival strategies lost their efficacy. Australopithecus, the upright ape that had persisted for millions of years, vanished from the fossil record. Homo habilis, the first tool user, still depended on forest margins. They lacked adaptability to open landscapes and large environmental fluctuations. This ecological upheaval created a new evolutionary challenge. Survival no longer depended on climbing or forest foraging, but on long-distance mobility, following animal herds, locating water, and responding flexibly to landscapes. Amid this change, a new human species emerged. Taller, more robust, longer legs, a skeleton clearly adapted for sustained bipedal travel. Bigger skulls, larger brains. No longer spending most time in trees, they belonged to the open ground. In South Africa, the Drimolen cave yielded a child's skull dating 2 million years old, one of the earliest Homo erectus fossils. In Kenya and Tanzania, similar bones appeared in the same geological layers. Less than 200,000 years later, Homo erectus fossils were found at Dmanisi, Georgia, over 3,000 kilometers from Africa, a clear sign they were the first humans to leave Africa. This was no random wandering, no instinctive drift. It was an evolutionary response, natural selection favoring individuals who could tolerate open spaces, travel far, and embrace environmental risk. Homo erectus was both a product of Africa's transformation and the first agent to transform the world. Part 3. Built to move. The body of Homo erectus wasn't built for climbing. It was built for movement, fast, enduring, far-reaching. Compared to earlier hominins, they looked strikingly different. Height ranged between 1.55 and 1.80 meters. Legs longer than arms, a specialization for two-footed movement. Narrow hips, flexible shoulders, musculature focused on endurance. Fossil footprints in Illoret, Kenya, dated approximately 1.5 million years ago, provide direct evidence. Their feet featured arched soles, aligned big toes, and short toes. an anatomical adaptation for efficient travel on open ground. These weren't feet for grasping branches. They were feet for non-stop savanna movement. They also possessed pronounced Achilles tendons, a trait shared with modern humans, storing and releasing energy for endurance running. A lean physique aided heat dissipation, lowering the risk of overheating under the hot sun, along with dense sweat glands, replacing panting as cooling mechanisms. This allowed longer activity without overheating. All these traits reveal a singular hunting strategy: persistence hunting. Not ambush, not sprinting, but tracking, maintaining pressure, waiting for prey to fatigue, and delivering the final blow when it can run no more. Inside, their brains were steadily enlarging, averaging 800 to 1,100 centimeters cubed, larger than Homo habilis. Brain regions tied to planning and behavioral control, especially the frontal lobes, began expanding. This was the first time humans demonstrated strategic thinking, purposeful action, and decision-making based on environmental context, no longer living by reflex. Homo erectus was the first creature to run not from fear, but to gain advantage. Art 4. Stone and Fire. At Kokosele, West Turkana, Kenya, archaeologists found symmetrical, sharp-edged stones, intentionally shaped. These were Acheulean tools, beginning around 1.7 million years ago. Unlike the rudimentary Oldowan tools of Homo habilis, Acheulean tools featured standardized, bifacial flaking for sharp, durable edges. Producing them demanded recognizing potential shapes in raw stone, planning a sequence of flake removals, maintaining symmetry throughout the crafting process. This is evidence of abstract thinking, spatial imagination, planning, abilities unseen in earlier humans. Acheulean tools were multifunctional and reusable. Butchering meat, skinning hides, breaking bones, digging roots, trimming branches, processing plants, defensive weapons. Performance-wise, one Acheulean hand axe could replace dozens of Oldowan flakes. It wasn't just stone, it was humanity's first portable technology. Simultaneously, Homo erectus harnessed fire. At Wonderwork Cave in South Africa, burned bone and ash layers dating to approximately 1 million years ago reveal they not only encountered fire, but maintained it. They may not have learned to ignite it, but preserved embers from natural fires, protected them, and used flame for survival. Fire transformed biology and society, cooking food, increasing nutrient absorption, reducing chewing, freeing energy for brain growth, detoxifying plants, expanding edible food options, creating safe zones, repelling predators at night, extending wakeful hours beyond daylight, providing communal spaces for skill sharing and oral memory. Fire was not just a tool, it was the foundation for social organization. When Homo erectus gathered around the flames, they weren't merely warming their bodies, they began restructuring survival behaviors into cultural depth. Part 5. The First Great Migration. Around 1.8 million years ago, Homo erectus were present in Dmanisi, within the Caucasus, modern-day Georgia, over 3,000 kilometers from East Africa. This is the earliest archaeological evidence of human transcontinental migration. A few 100,000 years later, they appear in China, Southeast Asia, even Java, spreading thousands of kilometers across deserts, high mountains, dense forests, wetlands, large rivers, and notably seas. No maps, no written language, no navigational tools. Yet they moved with ecological strategy, tracking migrating herds, seasonal water, climatic routes into new lands. Their presence in Java posed a scientific puzzle. Even during glacial low sea levels, Java was separated by deep channels like Makassar and Lombok. No land bridge. Conclusion: Homo erectus crossed water, though there's no direct evidence of boats. Rafts were likely used, or naturally drifting vegetation mats post-forest fires. Such crossings were unlikely accidental. They must have been organized, repetitive, intentional. Discoveries on Flores further support this. To reach it, one must cross at least 19 kilometers of open sea with no intermediate shore. The fossils there, descendants of Homo erectus, indicate a viable breeding group, avoiding inbreeding, existing for tens of thousands of years. This proves they did not wander aimlessly. They expanded territory sustainably, with group coordination, migration strategy, and resource exploitation far more complex than previously thought. This was humanity's first great migration. No legends, no written memory, yet fossils, tools, and genetic traces clearly show they were the first to leave their known world and venture into the unknown. Every human journey thereafter, crossing mountains, deserts, oceans, was an echo of this first mass move. Part 6. Echoes in our genes. To date, no intact Homo erectus DNA has been extracted. High temperatures, humidity, and time have obliterated their genetic material. Unlike Neanderthals or Denisovans, we lack their genome for direct comparison. Yet their biological legacy, through anatomy, behavior, and evolutionary patterns, persists within us. Modern human morphological traits, fully upright posture, optimal limb proportions for running, effective sweating thermoregulation, and structured brain anatomy trace back to Homo erectus. For instance, the RUNX2 gene related to long bone growth and limb ratios enabled long legs suited for endurance. Arched feet, straight big toes, Achilles tendons indicate selection favoring running efficiency over tree climbing. Dense sweat glands and reduced body hair began replacing panting, allow heat endurance for long-duration activity. Within the skull, expanded frontal and Broca's regions laid groundwork for abstract thought and precursor to language. Although no direct genetic evidence exists, genes like ASPM and MCPH1, involved in brain size and organization, likely underwent selective pressure during the Homo erectus era. Also, coupling a large brain with high physical activity required metabolic adaptations. Part 7. Masters of stability. For nearly 1 million years, Homo erectus used largely unchanged Acheulean tools, not due to stagnation, but because of a highly effective survival strategy. Contrary to modern assumptions that constant innovation drives survival, Homo erectus relied on 3 core evolutionary pillars: ecological flexibility, geographic mobility, and technological stability. Ecological flexibility, isotope and dental microwear analysis show a diverse diet: large game meat, marrow-rich bones, starchy roots, wild fruit. They weren't tied to one food source, but exploited based on location and season. Acheulean tools enabled processing of varied foods, from slicing meat to smashing bones to harvesting plants, strategically ensuring reliable energy sources amid environmental fluctuations. Mobile body, no geographic limits. Fossil records show Homo erectus occupied diverse ecosystems: Southeast Asian rainforests, East African grasslands, Central Asian plateaus, remote islands like Flores. Their tall bodies, long legs, narrow frame, thermoregulatory adaptations all supported long-distance travel and survival in harsh conditions. They didn't cling to fixed territories. When habitats degraded, they moved to adapt rather than resist. Stable tool strategy. Acheulean tools changed little because they didn't need change. They were effective, easy to make, durable, and multifunctional, not reliant on high technology or rare materials. Amid unstable climates, wildfires, droughts, earthquakes, glaciations, tool stability reduced risk and supported quick adaptation when environments shifted. While other human species went extinct when their tools or environment changed too fast, Homo erectus survived. Not through superior intellect, but through a rare evolutionary trait: long-term sustainability. Part 8. Fading in the shadows. No global catastrophe. No specialized predator. No signs of mass conflict. Homo erectus's disappearance wasn't abrupt. It was gradual, quiet, spanning hundreds of thousands of years. Around 800,000 years ago, Earth entered a phase of high climatic instability. Glacial interglacial cycles shortened, intensified, and became unpredictable. Ecosystems rapidly shifted. Rivers vanished or changed course. Forests fragmented. Dry grasslands spread. Food availability oscillated seasonally at extremes. The result? Homo erectus populations became isolated, fragmenting geographically and genetically. Isolated groups faced high risks: loss of genetic diversity, inbreeding, reduced adaptability, vulnerability to local disasters, floods, fires, droughts, without rescue from other groups. At the same time, new human species began emerging. Homo heidelbergensis, larger brain, stronger body, wider ecological range. Neanderthals, cold-adapted, efficient group hunters. Homo sapiens, socially organized, quick learners, rapid tech innovation. In many regions, Homo erectus either competed directly with these newcomers or were indirectly replaced by them, simply unable to keep pace with environmental and social changes. The most recent archaeological traces of Homo erectus come from Ngandung Cave in Java, dated around 108,000 years ago. This shows some populations survived far longer than expected, but were gone before Homo sapiens reached the region. There is no evidence they failed due to evolutionary mistakes. They were not exterminated by stronger competitors. They simply reached the natural limit of a once highly effective strategy, sustaining nearly 2 million years, and then they faded from history like a species that had fulfilled its evolutionary role.